Oh, got it. See, this is where it's confusing because LM3 is the main. Oh, you ever get those amazing animations? So you always get these really cool animations. I got one in the newsletter and I was like, it's kind of interesting. I wonder if we could do it. So I figured I'd just do a video on it. I started playing with it. I figured let's just do a video on, can we make this happen? So I got this email newsletter and they sent this one from tympanus.net, which typically has, I have no idea how to pronounce that, but it's known to have amazing animation and kind of cool functionality stuff. But I saw this cool feature and I was like looking at it, like it just looks really, really cool, you know, and it looks like, you know, and I was like, can we make that happen? So in this video, we're going to be doing that using weapon of choice, GSAP, and our good old, HTML, CSS. And I'm going to be doing it inside of Next.js, but that's not going to affect anything. It's all going to be mostly CSS and GSAP, which is basically JavaScript, using JavaScript. So the first thing I like to do when I look at these things is I like to kind of break down in code what's happening, right? So as designers, they look at this like, whoa, but for like us, we look at this like, let's break down, all right? Because before you can start coding, you have to kind of break it down because you don't even know how you're going to factor your code. So what it looks like here, I'm not going to inspect, I'm going to do my own vision of this. So we have one word, it looks like. It doesn't look like you need spans because I can see here, if you just have the word, it looks like a background color because I could see it's kind of cropped. And then what it looks like is happening on scroll, the word is duplicated from the top and to the bottom. So it's being pushed up and being pushed down. So it looks like there's like 3 or 4 of these of the same word replicated, well, 8 times, well, 9 because the main one, and then 4 that's going to move up, and then 4 that's going to move down. I'm just going to do, one main one and just probably do a couple of top of the bottom to see if I can get this going. So let's get started. So that's my first vision. My first vision is that we need to have one parent div with multiple words, and I need to make them, I need a few to move up and a few to move down at the same speeds. That's going to be what's tricky. So I'm going to be using, again, GSAP, and I have a boilerplate I went ahead and created, which is just so I can get the scroll. So I have this word hello world, which is what I'm going to be using as the word. And then just so I can have a scroll, something to keep a scroll trigger. So it's a basic boilerplate stuff to get this set up. And it's basic stuff. So I won't review the CSS on all that, only this. Okay, so now let's get started. I also imported GSAP. So if you don't know, GSAP is an amazing animation library. Can't do a lot of this without it. I mean, you can, just gonna be much more, complicated and a lot more work. But basically, I'm using React with Next.js, and in React, sometimes these modules give a little trouble. So you just got to import GSAP from GSAP, and then ScrollTrigger. You want to use GSAP dist ScrollTrigger, and then register the plugin, and then you have your export default, and that's it. So here's my layout, and don't worry about all this stuff. Here's where the word comes in. Actually, so I'm gonna have to move this over. I wanted to show more of the demo, but let me see if I could squeeze in a little more here so I could show the code. So yeah, so right now I just have that one parent copy, and then that one word called hello world. So let's go. Let's see what we're gonna do. I'm a little nervous about starting, so let's just go. I went ahead and created, so in GSAP, you need to create, you need to import, so for GSAP, you need a use effect and a use ref, because I need to put all my timelines in a use ref, and then I need to reference every element, as opposed to like in jQuery where you reference it with or vanilla JavaScript, you reference it with the hashtag. In this case, you're gonna reference the element with the use ref, lm1.current. So I'm gonna make a bunch of these because I'm gonna have 5 words. Okay. So we have our main word. Should I start? I'm getting nervous. All right, let's go. How many minutes am I in already? Shoot, am I 2 minutes in? I'm 4 minutes in, I haven't even started. All right, let's go. All right, so we got the word. And what I'm gonna do here is, this is modular CSS. So I have one component and I have the CSS in a modular CSS. And I'm using Sass. So that's what, if you see the syntax. Okay, so we have the word. Now what I need to do is, and then what we need to do is, I'm going to be creating each letter. Okay, so we have the word. And what I need to do is create position absolute on this word, okay? Because I want to make sure that everything. You need absolute because everything's gonna need to move up and down. So let's just go position absolute. Let's just see what happens as we move along. So this doesn't get affected. It does move over, but I need to make it position absolute. So I'm just gonna kind of bring it back center. So I'm gonna give it a top 0, and then left 0, and then right 0, just to flush this back in the center. All right, good. So we got this in the center, and let's just give the border. Let's give this a border for now, just so I can see what I'm working with. Border 1px solid red. All right, I just want to see the word. Okay, cool. So I got the word. That's fine. I don't really care about the left and right. It doesn't really. I don't need it to be contained in any sort of way, so I can let it spread out. And I need the background color to be right. It's not going to be red, but if you see here, I need the background because if I look at this, it's being cut, right? So the background, it has a background so that it keeps cropping itself. All right, so we're gonna make. I'm not gonna go fancy. I'm just gonna choose black here. All right, so now we got the word black. Cool. All right, awesome. So we got the word. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replicate the word 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna have a main one, and I'm gonna have 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. Right now, because this position, I'll just say position absolute. They're all there, but you can't see them because they're all using the same position absolute. Okay, so the one in the center, I'm going to call main. I want to give it a class. So I'm going to give it a class called main. All right, because I want to be able to see the one that is the main, and I want to change it to red just so I know what I'm working with. Okay, so we're gonna go word and dot main color red. All right, and the others I want to see as, whoops. Oh wait, what am I doing here? What word styles dot main. Okay, because it's behind the others. Okay, so I want to z-index this as the most. See, this is where it gets confusing. Z-index 1, z-index 10, right? So now it's on top. Because if you take off the position absolute, just so I could show you, you can see all of them here, right? So we have all of them just stacked. The one in the middle is going to be my main one, and the other 2 are going to go up above, and the other 2 go up below. So let's bring this back to position absolute. All right. Because we can't do this without that. Top 0, left, right, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. The z-index is going to be important here. All right, so we have z-index red. Now let's create another one. Let's identify each one because we're going to need to do some manual work here. I'm not going to automate this. So we're going to say styles. We're going to give this 1. I'm going to write this one as 1. I'm going to write this one as 2. And then I'm going to give this one 3, so 3, and then 4. I just need to identify these, right? So I'm not doing much here. I just need to give them their thing. So let's kind of create some end states of these. Like, just want to see what they're going to potentially look like. So 1, and then we're going to say 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, and the main one will always stay where it's at. Okay, so let's position this top, let's say -2 rem, and this one we can say the second one, let's give it a further, actually the one on top can go further, and this we're gonna have to play with this. So here we do see, right, we see what's happening. We're positioning these 2 elements, just one above and one up a little higher. And then what I'm going to do is the opposite of the 3 and 4. I'm going to push those down. So what I want to do is kind of do the opposite of the negative. So I want to do negative. No, since above is negative, so we'll just do 2 rem. Just want to give it the opposite. And then this one will be top 4 rem, right? So now you can see the other one's covering the other one. So this is where it's going to get like a little tricky because we got to figure out which one. We have to create like the z-index so that the right one is on top. It gets a little confusing mathematically as to which one should be on top, but I just really eyeball it. So essentially, I'm just going to create, since I only have 2, I only want to do like the z-index 10 will be on top, z-index 9 will be, I'll use that for this guy. And then 2 will be the Z index 8. So I think the outermost one, oh, that one kind of went off. So actually this would be 8 and then this would be 9. So we're gonna have to play with it a little bit, right? So 9, let's just see what this looks like. 8, there we go. So the outer one looks like it's 8, but I think we just have to play with this. It really is gonna depend on our GSAP. Now this is just to give like a visual of myself, just to be like, okay, this is not perfect, right? And I'm not gonna do everything exactly like this. I just wanna kind of create this staggered effect. So we can see what's the potential, right? Now we just need to bring these back together, and then we need the top 2 to spread up and the bottom 2 to spread down on ScrollTrigger. And that's what we're looking at now. All right, so let's go. So I'm gonna take off these top. It's just to give it, because GSAP is really gonna do most of this, the hard work for us. So just, I gave myself visual. Now everything's stacked again against each other. So I think for the most part, that's probably all we're going to need for the CSS. I'm not sure if there's much more. We do want a text transform, and I noticed is we probably want to make the text uppercase as it is here, because you're going to find the words not matching. Like the L is going to come out, R won't come out yet. So let's give this a text transform of uppercase. Okay. So now when it comes out, it comes right out, right? It doesn't wait for the one that has a lower height, the letter that has a lower height. That's a problem. And I think we're gonna need to play with the line heights, because the line height, we need it to be pretty tight, right? Because we have this like organic padding on these words, but since we wanna create this tight line, we want to reduce the line height a little bit. Now it's hard to see, but if I take off, see now it got much tighter. As you see, the border got reduced. Now if you see the difference, if I take off the position absolute, you'll see all the words, right? They're much more stacked on top of each other, as opposed to if you get rid of this line height, right? You see more spacing. We got to get rid of that spacing, because if these things move, we want them to be pretty tight. So let's go ahead and get rid of that spacing. Let's bring this back to position absolute. So we're good. Now we got our CSS. Let's jump into some of our GSAP and the function that should make this happen. All right, so we have our word. Okay, so I went ahead and just created some of these element refs that I know we're going to be creating. So element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just gonna go in order here. So let's, all right, so let's look at this now. All right, so we have our function. Now let's just create the elements. Let's just add the refs. So ref equals lm1, and I'm just gonna do this on all of them. So a lot of copy and pasting here. I don't like to ever rewrite stuff. I kind of just copy and then change what it is. Copy and change what it is. So element 3, 4, and then 5. All right, oops, what did I do now? Got an extra thing here. What am I? Something's missing here. Ref equals hello world. What's missing? Expected. Oh, this one's, oh God, these little things are insane. There was like a missing another curly braces. All right, cool. So we got that. All right. Awesome. And if you see here, I labeled this 1, 2, 3, 4 because we can't use the numbers in the class names. All right, so we just got some references to these elements because these are what I'm going to be moving around. Main, I'm not going to touch. So let's go ahead and create our timeline. I generally have some GSAP simple code stacked, like tucked away on the side, because I don't like to rewrite this code a lot, because I always have to go back to the documentation like, oh, how do I do it? So just a const, this is just basic GSAP syntax for creating a timeline. Const TL equals GSAP timeline, whatever, and we're done. We got the timeline. Now I have generally, let me get this over here. I have, again, some boilerplate syntax that I'm going to be using. And so this is the kind of scroll trigger default that you're using, and basically the timeline, and then this is the timeline, TL, and then you keep stacking these things. So this is the method that's going to be producing. It's saying the timeline. If you don't know GSAP, I mean, it'll be helpful to know some GSAP, but basically it's just doing from whatever state it is to whatever. This is the element that we want to do the function to, and then this is what we're going to trigger. So I'm going to be triggering it on the word.current. So once this hits to word.current, let me see here, where's the word.current? Oh, it looks like I need to add that ref here. So let's add a ref equals word, and then let's do one here called word, because we need to reference that, because I need it to trigger basically when it gets to the word. All right, cool. Let me make sure just that my word is, yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. That's where it is. Wait a second. Do I have this right? No, it's on the copy. So that should be okay. Yeah. So let me just make sure that my copy is not, this is really the word. Yeah, it's fine. So it's all in the same. There's no really spacing. It's fine. So this is where it's at. So we got the word.current, and that's what we're going to do. All right. Now we're saying here, when the scroll trigger here, I'll delete this. I want to show what this does. Basically, we're saying when we get the word, when the scroll hits the word, when it comes in place, do this animation to element 1. And this is boilerplate GSAP stuff. Start the trigger at once it comes in at the bottom viewport, and when it ends midway, bottom 50%. So let's go ahead and let's start doing this. So let's just do a basic one, right? So actually, you know what? Let's do it on LM1. That's fine. So let's say Y% 20. Let's just see what this does. All right, so you see something happening. So if you scroll down, is it moving? All right, let's add the scrub. So scrub is going to be what does the scrubbing effect. So it moves it with, there it goes. All right, so we got something basic, right? Like this is not, but this is kind of what we're trying to aim for. This is like, see this makes me super happy, because this is kind of like, you know, when you're able to do like a basic function of something, you're like, all right, cool, I got that little piece. Now I can replicate this and do it over and over in like with some little tweaks. So get excited if you make these little steps. All right, so this is cool. So this is working. All right. So let's leave that alone. Okay. So I'm going to start with the first one. Okay. The first one is the LM1, right? Which is down here. LM1, it's the first hello world. I want that to move up, right? Okay, so instead of going down 20, I want it to go negative 20 slowly here. So let's try this. Let's refresh. I'm gonna go down, and there it goes, right? So it's doing kind of like what is happening here, but this like a little magical here. You see, right? The letters also are nice because they're very rounded. So it's probably smarter maybe to use some of these other rounded words, but you can't always get it. So hello, look at that. So it's doing it. Now we need a second one. Now this gets a little tricky. We need a second one to go up, but behind it, I believe, not in front of it, right? So this is where it gets like a little tricky, because we're looking at this and the second one should be behind it, not on top. So let's duplicate this and let's do LM2. And here's where it gets like a little tricky. So let's see, leave the scrub. We can leave everything as is. Let's just see what happens, right? Let's save this. And nothing is going on. And my assumption is because, you know, negative 20, they're in the same place and moving at the same speed. So they're not going to do anything. What I think needs to happen is the second one needs to go farther. So it needs to travel further. So we need to give it like another bounce. So let's do that. Negative. Okay, cool. Where's the other one? So I think Z index is the problem here, because I know that they're both definitely moving. But if I go down, let's swap this now. so that the 1 is the highest, because I think the second one has to go behind it. So let's change this, that the 1 is the higher Z index. Okay, there it is. So let's save this. There we go. Cool. All right, this is great. So we got something here. We got something. Is this cool? So if I take off, I love this. All right, so I think we got this. Sometimes you do and you're just like, is it really, like, did I get it? Like, yes, I got it, you know, and you're just like questioning yourself. But there's probably a little more. I don't know, this looks about right. This looks about right. Okay. But it can't be. Wait a second. So what if we played with the start end of this? Just want to play with this number for a second. This is GSAP telling it, you know, start as it hits here. So if you do the markers, right, it'll show you. GSAP has markers, so it'll show you like what's happening. So basically, it's saying scroll start at the bottom. Once it comes in, start it, and then end it about here. I'm ending at about 50%. So at the top to the 99%, once it comes in, start, end at the bottom 50%. So I'm wondering if the second one, if I let it maybe start it a little sooner, I want to see what happens. It's a little cleaner, right? If I get the second one to start a little sooner, since it's traveling farther, it looks a little more even. So I think we have to play with some of these numbers. All right, cool. Now let's go to the third element. I think these are going to get tricky because the hello world's already at the top and it just has to go up. Now we're on the bottom, but it has to travel past the word. So I feel like we're going to need more push it to transition at a further distance. So let's say, wait, did I break this? Oh God. All right, what's happening? Oh, okay, so I gotta that, so LM3. All right, so I got what's happening here? Why did everything break? LM1, LM3. Wait a second, let me just. All right, so those came in, but why is it that when I added this, this broke? Oh, got it. See, this is where it's confusing because LM3 is the main. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna leave LM3 alone. So we probably don't even need to reference LM3 at all. That's a mistake. Okay. So I'm gonna skip. LM3 is really the main. So I probably should have just called it main. Matter of fact, you know what? I'll do that now, but I'll lose the ref. So I'll call it main. You know what? I'm going to leave it alone just because I feel like the count is going to get confusing. Let's leave it alone. LM3. All right, so let's go back up. So it's LM4 that we really want to touch, right? So let's go down. All right, so let's refresh. Okay, so this is moving. Now the third one is not going anywhere. Well, because it should be going down, right? So negative is the wrong direction. It should be going down. So we want to do it like this. There it goes. All right, so we got that going down. And it looks about right. I don't know if it needs much else until we get the next one in. I feel like we need to get the fourth one to see really what is going on. So it's scrubbing properly, and I haven't changed the start and end. Now I'm gonna copy this one over and paste it and make it LM5. Now, of course, I know it's not gonna do anything because we tried this before. So if it's the same percent, same space, let's just make it go farther. So if we look at this, okay, so we got it. So it's pretty much working, but it's not even, right? If we look at this, this is like exactly like perfectly looks even, right? Every word is leaving its original place. At least it looks like it's leaving its original place at the same time, but they can't because the two that need to go down are more higher. So I think they need to travel further, but then they also need to appear like as if they're leaving the same speed at the top two. So what I think we need to do is let's look at the Z index here of the 3 and 4. So I swap these. I feel like the 4, it should mimic, I feel like try to keep this. So the 1 up top is the 9 and the lowest is 9, and then 2 that are like in the middle that are leaving are 8 and 8. So let's change this out. Did we mess this up? No, it doesn't look right. 8 and 8. No, so maybe we had it right. I don't know. All right, so let's look at this. Okay, so LM4 is fine. The only thing is I think these just need to I think we need to reduce the speed on this one. LM4 could be 50, and maybe this one could go further. Let's see what it's doing here. All right, it's right. So these are perfectly in order, but for some reason they're traveling I guess I gotta look at the speed here. This is 99, this is 50, this is 80, this is 50, and this is 80, this is 50. So then let's make this one 99 and 50. Let's see the difference. So fine. So what is it here? LM5 is 110. What if we swap this out to 110 and made this one the smaller one? Yeah, okay. Again, so now let's go back to swapping. So I'm trying to get the last end elements to be more of a match. Am I? I don't know. Actually, hold on. So everything looks right. We just have to reduce this a little. We just have to make this. The top 2, to me, I like what's happening with the bottom 2, but the top 2 is more of a match, I think, of what we're trying to do. So maybe we need to reduce this distance. So what if we do 40? We do 30. So I'm gonna look at the end, right? To be like, okay, this is where it's supposed to end. So if I keep the end in mind, I know that's where it'll end. So if they're all the same, okay, perfect. So the one I just did is matching. So the 4th one, we want to bring this down to, let's try 70. Let's try 60. Looks about right. It looks about right. So now if we refresh, still a little off. Let's make it 60. Let's try again. Let's make element 5. Which one's element 5 is what's throwing me off. I feel like it's confusing to figure out which one's element 5 too. Let's see which one's moving. Hold on, guys. Bear with me. Yeah, this looks right. This looks right to me. It's just starting earlier. So what if we make this one 99 and then this one 80? Does that make a difference? I think that's it. I think changing the distance of the element 5, or when it starts, basically, I wanted to telling LM5 like don't start right away because you're getting ahead of everybody else, basically. So LM5, those are perfect. Second one coming up a little late, so let's bring this one, let's make it travel farther, so maybe it'll come. The bottom one, the second bottom one is coming a little after. Let's say, let's try it again. There it goes. That's just about right. So the first are coming in perfectly. The second top and the second bottom are coming in pretty much exactly it. Guys, is this it? Hold on. Oh my God. All right, is this it? Okay, so hello world. So let's get rid of the markers. Let's get rid of, to look at this final demo. Let's get rid of the border. And let's see what this looks like. And let's get rid of the markers. Markers, false. All right, so now we get rid of the markers. Woo! And now we could probably play with it. You know, you can, if you wanted to travel really, you know, crazy, you could do that. I'm scared to touch the code, right? You ever get scared to touch the code to be like, listen, I got this working, man. If I cannot lose this, and you start playing with it and you start losing stuff, that's why it gets important. But this is nice. I think this is pretty much like, it's a little different, but it depends on the word. And I wonder if we try the opacity, like maybe make the opacity of the word, see what that does. I'm just curious. So let's say 2, and let's also add opacity 1. And let's also, actually I deleted, no, only, not, the main needs to always stay. So let's say 3 and 3. And then let's say opacity 1 on element 5, opacity 1 on element 2, and then element 1. And let's refresh, see what this does. Okay, I guess because they're kind of getting on top of each other, so the opacity is not really that nice here. I don't like it. Let's undo the opacity. So let's take that off. And then this one, I think it's better without it. I feel like that's it, honestly. I feel like this is it. This is it. This works. This is pretty nice. Let's change the word. Let's see what happens if we put basic changes here. Omar. Let's put that. Woohoo. Okay. I like it, guys. This is it. Let's go back to Hello World. And I think that's it, guys. That's the demo. How long did this take? An hour? Wait, how long did this take? I can't tell. I don't know, guys. Can't tell. Oh, we're a half hour in. Guys, that's been this video. If you like front-end development, UI, user interface, CSS, some React, some GSAP animation, CSS animation, hit that like button, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the comments. All right, let's go. This is crazy. How did this even work? Oh God, now it doesn't look right. This one's like a little off. I'll take it as it comes. See what you guys can do with this. Play with this. All right, bye guys.